Good morning, good lunchtime, good afternoon, good dinner, wherever you are. You are joining myself, Paul Kelly. We're here again. That means only one thing with the two of us together, that we are here in preview mode. Couple of, well, I suppose delectable and delicious fights, depending on where you on who you're a fan of, coming over the Atlantic this week. But firstly, we are in Glendale for what is a flyweight unification title fight between Jesse Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards. Obviously, it's a super fight, considering that, I suppose a lot of the guys at those lesser weights don't often get described as having super fights, but we are here for what I think is a super fight, especially with British interest as well. Paul, I'm going to come to you and ask you, I suppose, I was going to say a sort of sucker punch question, but I suppose in many ways it'd be the Jesse Rodriguez question, because Sonny Edwards doesn't necessarily have a sucker punch. But I'm going to come up with a question about Sonny Edwards. If you'd like to just give us, your thoughts on how you're doing, if if you're excited for this fight. But secondly, I'm going to come in with this question, Paul, and this question only, and that is Sonny Edwards Britain's pound for pound best fighter currently?
Thanks very much, mate, for that eloquent breakdown. And yeah, I am excited for this fight. Has to be, 18 or no against 20, undefeated. One's a puncher, one's not a puncher. It's got a puncher against a slickster kind of here. So it's interesting, all the hallmarks of being a great fight. Really looking forward to it. In Glendale, Arizona, as you said, on Saturday 16th. Unification, IBF and WBO titles on the line. But to answer your question, mate, um, oh, yeah, he's top three. I think he's top three. Seen Probably should have given this more thought, to be honest with you, and like giving you a definitive answer. But I think just off the top of my head, you've got Sonny Edwards. Obviously, you have to have people that are world champion, and you kind of have to go. So he's had five world title fights, Sonny Edwards, in a row. Yeah, some people might say limited level, but some of those fighters are decent, just lesser known because they're down to flyweight, obviously. So yeah, you've got Sonny Edwards up there. You still have to have Fury up there. Yes, everyone's saying he didn't look great in the Ngannou fight, but Fury's got to be up there as well. And who else have you got? Josh Taylor was being beaten now, so did he fall right down? Joe Cordina's a world champion. Lee Wood's a world champion. So he's probably up there as well in the pound for pound British rankings. But you know what, mate? I'd maybe go on a limb and say, yeah, Sonny Edwards, for me right now, could be Britain's best pound for pound fighter. What about you? What do you think?
Huge. I think you're going to do very well to get hold of Lee Wood for the next interview. That phone will keep ringing, I reckon. I think. What do I think? I think. Look, like, I totally agree with what you're saying. Actually, the criteria that, and actually, to be honest with you, when I thought of the pound for pound list, those four names that you mentioned, Edwards, Cordina, Wood, and Fury, are the top four that kind of leap out straight away. I think the thing for me is, I think you've got to have Lee Wood in there. Lee Wood's definitely up there. I think Cordina, the last two performances, the last, the Gower, the sort of stoppages, the two stoppages, the run that he's been on, he has to be up there. Fury for me is the one where you can't really leave him out, but equally, like, he's not had a live fight for quite some time. So I feel like, maybe he would slip on that basis when you compare to, like I say, Cordina and Wood. Sonny Edwards for me needs this. Sonny Edwards with this victory for me would possibly elevate himself right up there. But he needs, I think, a victory of this nature. Josh Taylor, again, it's a tough one because, like you say, he's not necessarily looked his best recently, and obviously the Catterall fight. But then you look at his CV that he did have. It's hard, isn't it, to then go, I'm going to put him below Sonny Edwards when you compare it on that respect. So I think this win for Sonny Edwards would cement him up in that conversation. But until he gets that win, he's kind of probably a little bit. He's definitely below Wood, probably below Cordina for me, sitting around somewhere with Tyson Fury around three. But yeah, contentious guys. Let us know in the comments really whether you agree or disagree with us. Lee Wood, if you're watching, please let us know as well whether you'll ever speak to Paul again. Paul, you mentioned it in the comments there in your initial sort of introductory comments about the styles of this fight, and I've also alluded to it as well. So Sonny Edwards obviously not a known puncher, but Rodriguez is a puncher. So Rodriguez obviously 18-0 record with 11 KOs. Sonny Edwards 20 fights, 4 stoppages on that record. So like you say, not really a puncher. But I'm going to ask you really two questions actually. One is what style do you see this fight kind of taking? But secondly, for both men to win, how do you reckon the best method for both men will be to prevail, please?
I mean, it's really interesting. It is a real clash of styles. I think, Rodriguez has shown that not only does he carry power at flyweight, but even when he went up to super flyweight for those couple of fights, he knocked out Rungvisai, didn't he? He also beat Carlos Quadras. So he's like, he clearly carries power even up a weight. So I think if you're Sonny Edwards, you've got to be wary of that power. However, Sonny Edwards has been in with big punchers down at flyweight before. You think of Muntalani when he won the IBF title first time around. Sonny Edwards, big underdog against a big puncher. and he kind of danced rings around him and just avoided the big shots. It's a matter of that for me. I think Sonny Edwards, you're never going to see him go for a knockout really now that he's up at world level. I think it'll be if when he's winning fights, it's going to be on points. Um, I think that he'll just be looking to kind of counter punch in a sense that he'll let Bam Rodriguez come forward, try and land from the southpaw stance, backhand lefts, hooks, whatever it is, and then as soon as he throws those shots, the speed of Sonny Edwards, he'll try and counter it and continually moving on the back foot, dancing around. That's the style we see Sonny Edwards adopt a lot, and he's been very successful in doing so. But yeah, obviously this is the toughest fight of his career against Bam Rodriguez, who has been incredible. He's still only, what, 23, 24 as well, which is just ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I think that it's a real clash of styles. I'm not going to go as far as saying it's just a puncher against the mover, because I think Jesse Rodriguez needs to be given more credit. He can box as well. He's not just a puncher. But is he as good a boxer and mover as Sonny Edwards? Absolutely not. I think Sonny Edwards' movement is on another level. So that's kind of the way I see it going. I think if Jesse Rodriguez is going to win, I probably do favour him to knock Sonny Edwards out if he is to be successful in this fight. And on the flip side, if Sonny Edwards is winning, there's only one way he wins for me, and that's on points.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's probably controversial what I'm going to say now, but I think it's a bit of a shame that the Sonny Edwards doesn't have access to Conor Benn's medicine cabinet, because I'd love to see like some real power on Sonny Edwards as well, mate. Just imagine what he could do with the movement he's got currently and like the general boxing ability, outrageous boxing ability, backed up with a bit more power. It'd be something special. But I think I agree with you. I feel like Sonny Edwards is not going to knock out Bam Rodriguez, is he? Frankly, and I think Rodriguez will be coming forward. I think, to be honest with you, I'm going to credit Greg here, ESBR cohort as well. We'd had a big fight breakdown when he said that he actually sees this fight going very, very similarly to Canelo versus Saunders. And to be honest with you, I can kind of see that. I know what he means by that, and that's probably the way I'm leaning as well. It's just a case of whether Sonny Edwards can remain focused and long enough to see through the 36 minutes, because he's going to have to fight every minute if he's going to win this fight. It's as simple as that. But I suppose we've kind of alluded a little bit to who we think is going to win, but I'm going to go with some cast iron prediction time now, Paul. And there's only two of us here, and I'm not going to volunteer to go first. So I'm going to put this over to you and say, are you backing Sonny Edwards? Are you backing the Britain in this, or are you leaning towards Jesse Rodriguez?
You know what, mate? Could come back to bite me this, but I think Sonny Edwards is going to win, and I think he's going to win well. I think that when you look at Jesse Bam Rodriguez, yeah, those wins against Rungvisai and Quadras and a few others are, highlight real kind of wins, big names. But when you look at the opponent, I'm not saying they were on the slide or anything, but in terms of footwork, none of them are on the level Sonny Edwards is. Jesse Rodriguez has been able to hunt them down easily. With his footwork, you're not going to be able to hunt Sonny Edwards, and he's always a moving target. So I think Sonny Edwards, he has shown that he can box for 36 minutes switched on, and as long as he does that, for me, he wins. I could even see it being maybe an 8-4, something like that on the cards, even maybe even a 9-3. I'm not too sure. Maybe that's a wee bit wide, but I could see him winning by 4, maybe even 5 points on the judges' scorecard. So I'm going Sonny Edwards, UD. What about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for that, Paul. I'd love to see that. To be honest, if that happens, I would love to see it. I just, in my mind, I am leaning with Greg. I think Sonny Edwards will get caught at some point. Frankly, to be honest with you, I feel like Sonny Edwards has missed a fight here in getting to Bam Rodriguez. I feel like he needed that sort of stepping stone against, like you say, kind of like Quadras. I mean, look at those other names that have been around there, like Chocolatito, Estrada, like you say, Quadras, Arroyo. Any of those kind of names that have all fought each other, they've all kind of gone around that conveyor belt. And I feel like Edwards hasn't had that. So he's just leaping straight into Rodriguez, who is, like you said, has beaten Quadras and beaten Rungvisai. And I feel like he almost it would have been better to have had a stepping stone fight like that first before throwing himself into this. So I feel like actually the step up is massive, and it will prove to be a bit too far. I think Sonny Edwards. I can see Sonny Edwards being up on the cards, frankly, but I can see him being stopped, and somewhere around sort of like 8 to 10. I think Rodriguez will get to him eventually. I just don't think Edwards has got the power to hold him off, and also we've seen Rodriguez has got the power at a division above this. So I just feel like, sadly do feel that Jesse Rodriguez is going to get the stoppage. But guys,
Very interesting, mate.
it left us on a forlorn note there, but I have to say, you have to be honest. I think what I will say really is, I suppose, pop your comments below this video, so whether how you see the fight going, whether you agree with Paul, whether you agree with myself. And also, that goes across the predictions, but also, Britain's pound for pound best. Tuning into the fight, obviously, we'll have some other stuff on the channel, obviously, relating to the undercards, written and digital big fight breakdowns, previews of that nature. Paul, it's one of the lastly say before we sign off. Thank you very much again for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you for a whole host of fights next week.